What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the BrawlCast. I'm Dylan, otherwise known as Bachblade Legacy, and I'm joined by... Go ahead and introduce yourself, guys.
What up? It's MStubs88.
Oh, it's Kimber. Oh, sorry, I'm loving my dog.
And today...
And I'm Luke.
Luke is our guest today. I'm going to be honest with you guys. We've already recorded this episode. And
What?
The reason we're recording it again is because your boy messed it up and there was no audio.
What?
So,
Dylan?
yeah.
Messed up audio?
What?
It's okay, I'm more prepared this time.
Okay, we're good then.
Yeah,
We're
same.
good. It's almost like the first
Yeah.
episode I didn't mess up the audio either. I totally messed
We
up
love
the
you,
audio in the first one too. All right. So, everybody, this is Luke. Luke is a relatively new player to Bakugan. He's only been with the game for how long?
A week longer than last time.
That's
Yeah.
very true.
Longer than the last recording. No, I don't know what, three-ish weeks, maybe a month. Not very long.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you the boy.
I know that you are more proficient in other, well, not proficient, but you have more experience with other TCGs as well, right?
Yeah, I know. We talked about that a little, and I'm sure we'll cover some on that
Yeah.
too. Now, but yeah, I play Yu-Gi-Oh, White Schwartz, Vanguard, probably other games. I've played Pokemon, play like Magic casually,
Mhm.
just like any card game pretty much. And why not jump into Bakugan?
Yeah.
So
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
No, now is probably a perfect time too. You know, the game's getting a little bit more established. Today it was trending on Twitter for a reason we'll get into later. But Luke, why don't you tell us about your introduction into Bakugan and how you got into it?
Well, it had a lot to do with this guy. Like every chance he can get, Michael tries to get me into Bakugan. So, like, literally taught me how to play like old Bakugan, like when I was in high school.
Mhm.
And yeah, that. But like, I don't ever. When it rebooted, he was like, "Dude, let's play some Bakugan." So like, I played a little bit when it first rebooted. Just a little. I didn't have a deck or anything, but I played with him a little bit.
Mhm.
And then just recently, I guess all the pandemic and everything's closed, and I mean, it's definitely a fun way to pass the time. So
Mhm.
I've just kind of gotten into it and been hanging out and playing with them a little bit.
Nice.
True,
What was your
true.
first Bakugan?
Well, oh my gosh, dude, I have no idea.
I know what your first Bakugan was.
What was it?
It was Ventus Mantinoid Ultra.
Oh, you mean my first new wave Bakugan?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you meant like in general. Yeah, it was. I got three. I got him, Darkus Nelius, and something else. I got three when I first bought them. But no, yeah, those were. I don't know what my first actual Bakugan was. I know as a kid, my favorite Bakugan was like Ventus Skyrus Pearl.
Ooh,
That thing was
yeah.
Oh,
The pearls look so good, but
Yeah, we like when I first got you back into Bakugan, we actually traded B1 Ventus Skyruses because you
yeah,
had the regular one, and I had the pearl, and you wanted the pearl or something like that, I think.
yeah, I love the pearls. I had one as a kid and I lost it, so I guess that's probably why I had to get another one. But
Sorry.
yeah, when I got back into it, like when I was playing with you, I had a lot of like old B1 stuff. So
Yeah,
I still have them.
it was rad. Good times, Nick.
Dude, that's been so long. It's crazy.
It was like 2015.
I mean, I was in high school and I just graduated from college. Like, that's insane to think about. Like, it's been that long.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Everybody's so much
Nick
older
and I
than
go
me.
back. Or, Luke and I go back.
Everyone's so
Nick
much
must be-
older than me. It makes me sad. Guys, I'm 20. I'm gonna be 21 next month. But yeah.
I'm just like 24, and in end of August I'll be 25. So
I'll be 22 next month. This month. It's July. Yeah, I'll be 22 this month.
And then there's
So.
Michael.
31st.
Well, good. How are you liking the game so far?
It's cool. I really like it. I mean, all the other card games are just card games.
Mhm.
I guess it's cool to have the extra aspect, extra mechanic to the game. It's fun.
Yeah, I like to think of it just extra, added collectability, personally.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's cool. It adds a cool aspect to the game too. And my phone's dying. Hopefully, it doesn't die. But
Oh, no. Plug it up.
yeah, I have a charger I can get in a minute. But what's this thing? It's cool. Man, that just completely blew my train of thought.
It's one of those nights.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those nights. Also, I guess just fun little fact, anybody doesn't know, I first met Luke at Anime Expo last year. Sadly, it didn't happen this year, but when it did happen last year, it was Mako, M Stubbs, and Luke and I, and we all stayed in the B&B. So that was really cool.
Nice.
And
Yeah, it was crazy.
it was fun.
No, go ahead. I work in LA in the summers, and Michael was just like, he like posted on Facebook like, I'm gonna be in LA for Anime Expo, and I'm like, dude, I'm in LA. So we just kind of all met up. Like, yeah, I'd never met Cam or Mako, and we just all like met up. It was dope. It was awesome. It was an awesome
It was
weekend.
really chill. And he like had his Jeep, and then like there was also like an earthquake, and it was like the aftershock or something. And then I just saw like the street wave, and I was like, what is going on? But I wasn't even afraid. I was like, dude,
California,
that's like an
baby.
earthquake. I got to see one.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest earthquake. Like I think they said after in like 10 years that went through LA. It was huge.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was cool.
I thought Kim and Mako were shaking the Jeep as they were like getting out. Wait.
So, now that we talked about kind of like your introduction to the game, you know, like we talked about, you play other card games as well. What is your favorite aspect from Bakugan that kind of, because we know Bakugan kind of borrows from some really good parts of other card games. So what's your favorite aspect of it so far?
That's a good question, I guess, because I know when we talked before, I was talking about similarities to other card games a lot. So that's I would say probably, and it's not like a direct copy, so I think that's kind of why I like it too. But the deck as life aspect, I really like. I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's different, but Weisschwartz has like a deck management aspect to it. And like in that game, you go through your entire deck like 4 times in a game, like 3 or 4 times in a game. So like you don't like lose when you run out of life, but you have to have that like thought process in your mind to just thinking about how many cards are in your deck, what cards are in your deck, the resources, like should I draw, I need this amount of cards left in my deck, that kind of thing. I think that it kind of borrowed from Weisschwartz, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
The flip cards, that's directly taken from Weisschwartz too. Like the sideways flip cards that stop damage, it's that exact same thing is in that game. So that's really cool too. The difference is they don't cost in Weisschwartz, and they do cost in Bakugan,
Mm-hmm.
of course. But I think that's cool. I think just because that game's not looked at a lot, I think it's cool that they borrowed stuff from that game.
Yeah.
I think, like to touch on that real quick, I think it's really smart of them to take a lot of the like popular mechanics or like definitive mechanics from games that really kind of stand out and kind of mix them all together to come up with the mechanics for Bakugan.
Yeah.
Because it as a result, it brings this conglomerate of several different games, or it seems like all these different mechanics, and puts it into one, so it really kind of just stands out. So yeah, applaud there.
Mm-hmm.
You see that too in Argent Saga. I don't know if you guys. I think I mentioned it last time, but I don't know if you guys have like heard of Argent Saga.
I've
But
heard of it.
it's ARG's new game, new as of last August, so it's almost a year old. But the creator of the game is Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, and he plays like Hearthstone and Yu-Gi-Oh and like other games, and he kind of took aspects of all those games to make Argent Saga. So it has like really heavy like leaning aspects towards Hearthstone. It has some like combo stuff leaning toward Yu-Gi-Oh. It has just there's some like there's other games that you can see it reflecting, like some color types are like Magic, and it's just I think that's cool. I think it's cool that since this is Spin Master's first card game, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Because I would not.
I think that's cool, just because like Jeff Jones made Argent Saga primarily. It's like his game, so he's a Yu-Gi-Oh pro. He's played card games a lot, and I think that he has a different perspective of what a card game should be than Spin Master. So I think it's cool to see, since they both came out at relatively the same time. I think it's cool to see like the differences between the games and like the routes that both of them took. Because like Argent Saga is a lot faster right now, and it's a lot more combo based, and it's a lot more like power combo intensive right now than Bakugan. And I think that's because the creators of that game like faster play. Like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. And since Spin Master hasn't really done anything like that, it's slower. And
the two main developers for Gary Arant and Justin Gary, they're both like ex pro Magic players, so it makes sense to me why there's a bit more of a Magic feel, in my opinion, to Bakugan than there is like any.
Silence.
Hello. Wow.
I was like, did they freeze? What happened?
I was just done with my thought.
Oh, okay.
I thought you were still talking.
I thought you were too.
No, yeah.
That was awkward.
I didn't know that. It was cool. But yeah, it does kind of have that feel.
Yeah. Well, and because like you were playing other card games like Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff, and obviously those are more difficult card games than I would say Bakugan is, and depending on how you look at the game. I mean, some people could probably easily jump right into Yu-Gi-Oh, some people maybe not. Where
I feel like sorry,
no, you're good.
I just had a raw moment thought. I feel like the skill cap with just regular like TCGs like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic, I feel like the skill cap there is with like critical thinking and processing information, which there's a bit of that in Bakugan, but it's not as heavy as the others. But the big skill thing is where it's actually got it's a dexterity skill that's required to be able to play the game well.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel the skill cap is on Bakugan. It's like dexterity is like here, and critical thinking and problem solving, all that fun stuff is like here. And then if you were to look at Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, you've got the critical thinking, problem solving and stuff like that with Magic and stuff. It's probably right around the same area as the skill level of dexterity for Bakugan. Yeah. So it's like two different, they're just different.
Well, and then Bakugan has two different versions of the game. So we have the toy battling game and the TCG. So obviously, the way I see that is Spin Master was looking at it saying, hey, we want a game for a younger audience, thus the toy battling game. But we want the players who played back in the day, the legacy players. We want to have like a love letter, a game just for them. So you're not just adding and subtracting B power. You got cards that actually do stuff. You got your 40 card deck that has all these rules. Your 40 card deck has to be comprised of a certain amount of cards, certain amount of duplicates, only certain types of cards, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I like my personal wish would be that I don't think that the pro TCG version of the game is so complex that kids couldn't pick up on it, because I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Look at Ethan Monster.
Yeah, look at Ethan.
Yeah.
Great example. And I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh when I was 11, 12. Albeit it was a simpler time, and
Yeah.
that was before the sacrifice ruling and everything really got pushed when I first started. But I had the concept of the game and what I needed to be doing to win. I had that, I wasn't, it wasn't competitive, but I still picked up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, I feel like they may have unintentionally sold not only the player base, the kid player base, a little bit short, but they also kind of undercut themselves, because I feel like if they had focused strictly on the for the game itself, it being the pro TCG, I feel like it would be in a little bit better of a place right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my thoughts. What do I know? I'm not an expert in anything like that or anything.
Yeah.
But it's just my personal thoughts. And I feel like if they were to focus more on the pro version and try and push that instead of having this stepping stone for kids, I feel like it would do a little bit better. Because from my experience, when I worked for the Boys and Girls Club for right at 4 years. My experience with working with kids is they have the capacity to learn complex things. They're definitely not incapable. Some obviously have a little bit more struggles than others. But once they learn it, if it's something they enjoy, they'll stick with it. Mm-hmm. And that's all they'll want to stick with. So if you present to them a simplified version of a game and it's their first intro into the game and they're having fun playing it how it is, they're not going to care too much to learn a more complex version, because why make things more complicated when you can have fun with it simple?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think, obviously the original Bakugan game, it
did kind of push that.
It was meant to sell toys. It wasn't meant to be a competitive TCG. But regardless, it was fun, You could, games were quick. You could play a game in 10 minutes, maybe even less.
Speaking of 10 minutes, we have 10 minutes before we need to take a quick break and restart this.
But, so anyway,
great segue.
Thanks. I think regardless, I had fun with it as a kid, and granted, I was 8, 9 years old when it first came out, but
I had fun with it up until 2015.
Yeah,
and I actually have a website that I had started trying to build through Wix. It's called Chikoden, which was mine and Hive State's. I'm sure you all are familiar with Hive State Bakugan. It was our original. We really do. But if you're watching this or listening and you've not checked him out, you need to go check him out. He's got really good quality content. He doesn't upload enough, and I'm going to fight him over that. But anyway, that Chikoden was our original team. I'm trying to remember exactly what it meant. I think it was basically power or chi is power in Japanese, I'm pretty sure, or something close. I don't know. Luke, you would probably know. But I took it directly from Japanese and came up with it. But that's way off subject. But I have this website that I started working on, and I actually because I was working on trying to revive the old game back in 2015, and that's where I met King Nub, and when I started getting trying to get Luke into it, I was trying to gather all these people to play like the old game. And so I actually shot an email to Spin Master back in 2015, and I was like, are there any plans on reviving Bakugan? Because there's like a ton of people that would love it. And at the time, they were like, currently we don't have any plans to, but our team definitely loves getting this sort of feedback. I will say, basically, they said that they hadn't forgot about us, like that they knew that there was still a huge fan base for Bakugan, but at the current time there wasn't any plans on reviving it. Which now here we are, like 5 years later, 4 years later, 3 years technically after was when they announced it. And yeah, but pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually got the entirety of that email copied and pasted in the news article on it. So if you want to check it out, go to wix.com/CHIKODEN.
No shame plug.
No shame plug. It is, there's nothing special about the website except it looks kind of cool.
No.
And it played the Defenders of the Core theme. The complete the mission thing, because I was very like mission oriented, like I gotta get this done.
I kind of did that same thing, although I was much younger. I was like 10 years old. I'd go to my after school program, I'd sit down and I'd go on Wix and I'd create like these fan pages. They weren't obviously any good. I was 10 years old. I didn't know anything about graphic design. I just copied and pasted pictures from Google, and I made like fan websites, and I like copy and paste from the Wikipedia pages, like. But there was this one Google group. It was back when Google Plus was a thing. I was part of a Google Plus group for Legacy Bakugan. It was called Stinglash Elect. Have you guys heard of that?
Oh, no, I've not.
So that was a huge group. There were a few thousand people in that group, and
dang.
Yeah, and I know the guy that started it. He follows me on Instagram, but yeah, it was cool when Google Plus shut down, because that was like where that was where I bought like some Legacy Bakugan before they were coming back with the reboot, and like people would trade, people would buy, they'd talk about the games they played, and this was before the reboot was even announced. So it was like awesome. It was a cool community that I could go to every time I was feeling like I needed a Bakugan fix. And it was super cool. So RIP Stinglash Elect. That was a really, really good fan community.
On that note, I think we should go ahead and get the new video started.
I agree. So we're going to take a quick break. For you guys, it's going to be like a split second, but for us, we got to get everything reset up and get a new meeting going, because it's a 40-minute time limit, and we're about 5 minutes in, or 5 minutes till it cuts out, so we'll be right back.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're back. That took a couple minutes, but Luke is now where M-Stubbs was. M-Stubbs is now where Luke was, but that doesn't matter, because the people who are listening on Spotify, Kim's where he was before.
Yeah. I've been like petting my dog for the last 5 minutes, but it's okay.
So there is one thing that we talked about in the episode that was ruined by me when we had Luke on last time, and
we talked about leaks.
We did talk about leaks, which was a huge topic last week. We also talked about something that could possibly come to Bakugan in a near future, maybe, if it keeps continuing the way it does. And it's a total possibility. We don't know yet if it'll ever happen, but ban lists.
Yeah.
So we know Yu-Gi-Oh! Has ban lists. I just wanted to ask Luke if he thinks that Bakugan would ever have some sort of ban list system based on what he's played so far. And how ban lists even work, because I know nothing about most TCGs, so it's a good time for me to learn too.
Real quick, before you start your answer, Luke, to add on, and if they were to implement something like this, would you rather see like a set rotation or a ban list?
So I think this is generally like the same as what I said last time. But I think it just depends on how the game goes in the near future, or not even the near future, just the future. Whether or not we'll see a ban list. Like right now, I don't think we need a ban list. The way it's going right now, if it continues going the same, like the same way that it's going right now, probably I don't see us needing a ban list. So like I said last time, I guess Weiss doesn't have a ban list. Like English Weiss, there's two like formats, I guess. There's English and Japanese, and like Japanese has a completely different like tournament setup than English. They have a ban list, but English doesn't. So everywhere in the world but Japan doesn't have a ban list for that game, and that is in part because they see problems in Japan and then fix them before they release them to the rest of the world. And part of that is just because the game is just really balanced generally. And I've said this a lot before. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they can sell product without power creeping. I think that's a big thing. Like, it's an anime card game. People are going to buy the new animes that they like, regardless of if they're better than the last sets. Just because they have the new art, they're the anime that they love, they're going to buy them. So I think Bakugan is in a cool position where, since they're a toy company, they can sell the product without power creeping it. Like, maybe if they made cards like Evos or something that like action cards even, that only work specifically if you have a certain Bakugan in your deck or something like that to keep selling product but not power creep it. Like, that may be a terrible idea. I'm just just try to sell product without power creeping. And I think they can, since people are going to want the new toys and they're going to want the new product. Like, I don't think that they might do it anyway, but I don't think that it's going to be necessary. So if they don't power creep very much, I think that we don't really need a ban list. But if they do end up like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or whatever and just make everything completely broken in the future, probably. And I hate set rotation. So if we get set rotation or a ban list, I want a ban list. I hate set rotations.
Another thing we talked about in the episode that was ruined by me, we talked about how Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon and Magic, they've all been around a very, very long time. And my biggest fear with Bakugan is that it's going to be like how like 4 seasons of their show like it was last time, and they're going to call it.
Yeah, that's something I'm kind of afraid of as well. And like I said, I hate to come back to last time, but it was a really, I guess, fair point that I made last time, is if you're watching this, Spin Master, which I'm probably going to link both the Garys again. Love you guys. I think it would be really cool if, instead of cutting it at year 4 or year 5, if you feel like there's not much else you can do with Dan and company, do a time skip, make them a little bit older, bring in a new set of younger main characters, and let them play. Because, anybody that's born, after Dan, anybody that's younger than Dan can naturally use Bakugan in this Bakugan universe. So
yeah, that is true. I mean, basically anybody who was born after the Great Collision could use Bakugan,
or at least on the day of. Dan.
Also, speaking like, not about the show, but speaking about like longevity of the game, like not having to cut it, I feel like with a lot of card games, like, players don't keep playing the games. Like, they start when they come out and play a little bit, but they don't keep playing the games because there's no like guarantee that the game's gonna be around in a couple of years. So like, I would just say, like, I feel like if Bakugan's an established thing, so if they keep the card game going, like, even if it's not doing well, if they keep it going for a few years, like, I feel like people are going to feel more secure in playing and investing in it, and it's going to start picking up. Like, because I think that's like when Force of Will came out. I don't know if you guys know what Force of Will is. It was like huge. Everyone started playing Force of Will. Like Yu-Gi-Oh attendance like dropped. Everyone started playing Force of Will. In like a year, Force of Will was almost dead. And that's just because I think a lot of it is because people were like, well, this game's like getting power creep. There's a bunch of crazy stuff going on. And I'm just going to go back to the game that I know is going to be there. Like it's been there for 20 years. I know I'm always going to have it. So I feel like if they can give people that security, that that people are going to buy in a lot more. And I don't know how to do it, but I mean, Bakugan's been around for quite a while. So I think they've got that going for them at least.
Oh yeah, because like even when they originally stopped making the toys and the TV show stopped, you still had people in the groups like I was talking about Stinglash Elect. People would still play.
Yeah.
Even though it was a basic game. I wouldn't even consider it really a TCG. It was a game with cards.
Yeah.
And but people still played, and so I think if they were to keep making card sets and keep making Bakugan, even without a show to back it, I still think it could be successful.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, like we were talking about with Yu-Gi-Oh being around for so long, Pokemon being around for so long, Yu-Gi-Oh hasn't had. Well, I mean, they still have the anime, but there's really nothing that compares to the original.
Right, and if you want to be realistic, like that could be the like next and or final step. If they don't want to continue on with the anime, can make it a 3-step process. It could be anime, toy battling game, whatever to get kids into it. Gradually get them into the pro version. Pro version goes, anime dies, and then they just keep releasing pro stuff to keep the people that were playing pro buying in, and then you have a thriving card game without an anime.
Yeah.
But of course, like having the anime definitely does help with like sales and stuff like that. But
yeah,
a lot of most big card games have an anime. And I mean, not always. The biggest card game in the world doesn't have an anime, obviously. Magic doesn't have any kind of show, but
it just recently got like kind of a show thing.
Did it? That's
Yeah.
cool.
I remember hearing about it or whatever when I was in CM a bit ago.
I mean, still though, for 25 years it hasn't. So I was just saying, like,
yeah, absolutely.
You don't need it to be a card game, obviously, but a lot of card games do have it. So
I feel like another like really important factor is getting that LGS support off the ground. Because without that, people aren't going to have anywhere to go to play. People are going to have a harder time finding people to play with. And as a result, interest in the game is going to die.
And not just off the ground. Like, there's so many card games I've seen come into an LGS and then, like, within 6 months, just completely fade away. Like, they don't buy the second or third set. They stop supporting it. And, like, people want to play, but nowhere has tournaments. And it's just really weird. Like, LGSs just don't keep small games. And it's weird.
Say they don't keep small games. It's that they don't keep obscure games. It's not.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's not something that's like constantly making like TCG headlines, that's constantly drawing people's attention, that's constantly like kind of trending in the TCG communities, then people just tend to like move away from it.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be a hard thing with Bakugan because right now their set releases have been super very inconsistent. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a hard thing for LGS support when their sets have been super inconsistent. We got like I said before, we got 2 sets so far that everybody had access to: Battle Brawlers and Resurgence. Okay, Age of Arliss was announced. I have not seen an Age of Arliss pack in person ever.
I've
not once
seen 10. And that was To me by Kevin Keeler.
Like
Then they
like
released-
like Mayors or Myers,
Yeah.
however you pronounce it, is
Yeah.
like the main way of getting Age of Arliss. Besides
Mm-hmm.
that, it's like
So people just they said they were going to release it. It released very sparingly in some places. It was very hard to get. And then Fusion Force comes around. I haven't seen any Fusion Force packs. And granted, I don't have any game stores locally.
Are you
So
talking
it's
about
hard for me.
yeah,
Armored Elite? Is that
Armored
what
Elite.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, just making sure.
No, my bad. Yeah, Armored Elite, not Fusion Force. My bad. Yeah. Armored Elite, it got... The only packs I've had from Armored Elite are the ones I get in the starter decks with the 3 Bakugan, and the ones I got at the Invitational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And besides that, the main ones I've gotten is like I got like a set of 24 from Cycle Turtle for Armored Elite, and that's been about it. And even like with this topic, it was something like thought of before. It's like you could even have it where like how Pokemon might have like 2 different waves of their TCG and such, and they'll put in like say a big promo card and then like some packs from the different waves and such.
Yeah.
Why not Bakugan do that? Like for example, they come out with like Fusion Force stuff. Why not put some Armored Elite card packs in there with it? Why not put some Age of Arliss card packs in with that too? That way people can get Age of Arliss. If they want some Evos or such, some of the cards from Age of Arliss, so it gets that out there. And then same thing with Armored Elite, and then Fusion Force obviously being the new thing.
Yeah.
Mix it up. I like that a lot. That's a really good thought. Because it would be a good way to get older packs back into circulation that have since basically disappeared. And I mean, we all know that Spin Master Direct, the customer service, has like a bunch of Battle Brawlers packs just sitting that they were using to fix people that were upset with something that happened with packs or whatever. So that would be a great way to also kind of liquidate that extra stock that never got used. I mean, just pull them out of the blister and ship them off and have them repackage it with with an age pack and maybe a resurgence pack or something, or maybe to get people to really want it, you could throw like 3 Fusion Force packs and then like an age of resurgence and a Battle Brawlers, or 2 Fusion Force, 1 Elite, and then 2 Fusion Force and then 1 of every other pack. So you get like 6 packs, and then there's like $20 or something.
Yeah, no, that would be a very good idea. But anyway, let's move on to our next topic of discussion. This was a topic we had last week when we recorded. And this is when all this news was coming out. Right now, it's old news. It's about a week old. But there were a lot of leaks on Twitter last week and on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
One of the leaks that were released, well, I won't even say released, I'll just say they were leaked, was the Dragonoid and Treacherous fusion. Limited 1 of 500. 1 in 500. So they're 500, and I don't know if that's 500 total or if it's, So what are your guys' opinions on that and leaks in general?
I'm not a fan of leaks because it takes away from what Spin Master can do.
And the hype.
It takes away from the surprise of things. And like I was talking about it earlier. I've still been ranting about it because I thought that which I'm sure we'll get into, but the Bakugan video game, I thought
snap.
Right? I thought that the fact that it was coming with a limited edition figure had gotten leaked by somebody that had this information, because I was under the impression that only the Baku Masters had this information outside of the people that were supposed to have this information. And I was like, what the heck? But evidently, no, Nintendo just decided, hey, we're just going to post completely about it on our website. And evidently GameStop's already got it up for pre-order. So
they do.
Yeah.
Pretty wild.
Which I mean, granted, like everything going on with the pandemic and such, and Nintendo has been in the dark about a lot of games with this year because everything going on through a big wrench and things. So maybe they felt the need to just like speed it up with some things to bring hype for the holiday season. Because
that was
going on.
Talking with Ventus Knight in the chat. He said that it was like something that they actually had control over for once. So that's why it was just all kind of like, hey, here it is.
Yeah, that's the thing, guys.
That's what I kind of would prefer things to be like.
And that's the thing, like, you know, when things get leaked, like Spin Master's just as unhappy as we are about it.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people who work in the factories that steal stuff. They are thieves. And they'll put them on eBay, they'll leak them, and it's really unfortunate because that takes away from the surprise from Spin Master. It takes away from the excitement, really.
Yeah, and it keeps them from being able to have things to announce while people are like, why doesn't Spin Master ever announce anything? Well, probably because everybody's leaking it.
Yeah, and I'll say I'm guilty of kind of helping the Dragonoid and Treacherous spread. I was excited. I saw the leak on Twitter, and I went to Instagram and I shared it on my story. And I should have just left it alone. I mean, I could have just left it at a like on Twitter and called it good. So I do feel bad for having that leak spread because I don't like leaks. I was just really excited about it.
I feel
like once it's out though.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really to do at that point.
That's what I was gonna say. There's not. Might as well just embrace it at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And they actually talked about that back at the Invitational. They wouldn't tell us what it was. They just said it's something rarer than diamonds. And that was my caption on my Instagram story.
Nice.
But yeah, so now that we the Dragonoid and Treacherous, that's old news. Let's talk about the video game some more. Because that was just announced today. Okay, so today is July 10th. We just got the teaser trailer for the Bakugan video game for Nintendo Switch. It comes with an exclusive Ultimate Dragonoid, which is a recolor of the Dragonoid core from Armored Alliance. So I'm not gonna expose everything because what are your guys' thoughts so far, Kim? What's your thoughts?
I have been waiting. I have been winding up for this moment right here. I've been talking about it all day, and I've been holding it in because I've also been working, and then I found out about the video game on my break and even seeing people's reactions to it. First things first, I'm going to say about it. Some people are like, the game looks and such, and maybe focus on the figure. It's like it hasn't even come out yet, and the game's going to be fun no matter what. Like, how are we going to judge something that hasn't even come out yet and be like, it's going to be all right. And then the game's going to come out. Everybody's going to be like, yo, this is so much fun. This game's so cool. Like, got to stay positive about these things because it's like we're getting a video game. It's something I know I'm not the only one that's like, this series is really, really awesome, but I'm hoping for a video game. Well, we get that announcement, and we even got a set date for it. What is it, November 3rd?
November 3rd.
Like,
wow, that's crazy.
Like I'm hyped. Like, literally, there hasn't been much that I've been hyped for. Like, honestly, like, there's other things I get into and such, like other games I play and such. But video game wise, the main thing I've been hyped for going into like the fall, besides like obviously like Smash DLC and some new characters coming, and also the Crown Tundra for Pokemon. I got something to really look forward to for like going into the winter, and that being this Bakugan game. I'm so hyped about it. Like, I'm like, as soon as I get that, I'm gonna be playing the absolute crap out of it. Already, I know it.
What systems are it for? Do we know?
Just Switch.
Just Switch.
Switch exclusive.
Dude, there's so much cool stuff that we could that they could do with that though. That's so cool.
I'm wondering if they're gonna have motion controls like the original Bakugan game for Wii.
I would appreciate it.
I think it would be so cool if you could just roll it like touchscreen, like do like
spin
shots and stuff.
Oh yeah,
I think that would be the coolest thing because now we have a full big touchscreen on the Switch. Like that would be sick.
That would be awesome.
Which like I know me and some of the other masters were talking in the chat, specifically like Jet and the detective. Like we were hoping that it like from like the gameplay that we did see, it doesn't look to be TCG oriented, which I mean makes sense. And Negative Legend was also saying that he kind of agrees that it shouldn't be, but at the same time, I would like to see it be more TCG oriented, or at least have a second game. Hint, hint.
Right. Or even like just have different modes with it. Like have a basic mode where you just have it where it's like the ball game, and then incorporate like a pro mode.
Yeah. Excuse me. I've not been sleeping much lately, but anyway.
I feel you. Lots of work.
Like Negative Legends exact words were it is and it should be a gamey game, and it which it looks like from the gameplay that we've seen, it looks like it's going to play a lot like a Mario Party mini game, which is kind of exciting. So I'm sure it's going to be really fun. We don't know all the details on it or anything yet on like what elements and stuff, but we do know that there's going to be a bunch of different ways that you can like build it. Like it's an RPG, so you're gonna be able to raise your Bakugan and like make it stronger and stuff like that. And you're also like your character will be like pretty customizable from my understanding. And something that was also mentioned in the chat that Ventus Knight answered a question on is you're actually like for you female brawlers out there is the option to play as a female brawler, so it's pretty rad.
Representation.
Yeah, it's the first Bakugan video game where you can play as a female.
Yeah,
and,
that is true.
And if you want to compare it to video games of the past that have done stuff like that, let's look at Pokemon Crystal. That was the first Pokemon game where you could play as a female, and it is one of the best to this day Pokemon games in existence. So I'm not counting this game out yet. I think it's not gonna be TCG oriented, but I think it's gonna be a really fun game, and I feel like people are being way too hard on it.
I agree. It's not gonna be a Breath of the Wild, but it's still gonna be
a blockbuster. It's not gonna be a major title.
No, it's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a fun game, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, me too.
I think where a lot of the hate was coming from was, and I'm not calling out like Nintendo fans specifically, but there are people out there that didn't know Bakugan rebooted.
Yeah,
I was saying, and they were expecting something a little bit bigger, and so I understand where the frustration is coming from.
Like you said, they didn't like. I'm sure there's plenty of people that didn't know Bakugan got a reboot, and then oh my gosh, all of a sudden Bakugan, this thing that is supposedly dead, which it's not, just shows up, and it's taken up these Nintendo people's precious time on a Treehouse? I'm not super.
On a Treehouse, and plus, granted, like everybody with Nintendo this year, just being a big fan myself, not gonna lie, waiting for Breath of the Wild 2 and some other games to be announced and such. Like everybody's chomping at the bit for Nintendo to put out a bunch of stuff and such. And I mean, just us being Bakugan fans, it's like, oh my god! For anybody who doesn't know, like it rebooted, like you said, it's like okay, all right.
It's like whatever. Cool.
Oh, and real quick, for another like thing to talk about the game, like for gameplay. For those of you like original Bakugan fans, it is confirmed, and it was confirmed in the gameplay playthrough, that Leonidas from the very first original Bakugan game, your partner Bakugan, is being reintroduced into Bakugan through this game.
Thank you, Lordy.
My question is, are they going to make him a physical Bakugan?
Yeah, that's my big question too, and I am praying that they do, because it's like you have a Bakugan in this game exclusively, and if you hear me directly, Spin Master, I'm looking right at you with this. And you put it in the game for the love of mustard and Carol Baskins and anything else. Please make it an actual figure, because I'm a Wanda.
Everybody agreed that Leonidas should have been the exclusive Bakugan in the DS game, not Naga.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees.
And it's also, unfortunately, another missed opportunity, because that's not what the exclusive Bakugan is for this one.
It's
Ultima Drago or something like that, which
Ultima.
To me, it looks like it's going to be a reskin of, or a repaint of core AV Drago.
Which I'm not complaining because I like the look of that Dragonoid, and I think with the color of it, if you haven't seen it, just look on GameStop. It's on their pre-order page. It's a regular Pyrus Bakugan. It's got black accents. It's like metallic red, metallic gold. It looks good.
It looked, honestly, do you know what it reminds me of, kind of?
I'll throw a picture up on it when I'm editing so you guys can see.
That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, Vexos Drago for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Vexos Drago.
That was a small flex from Michael again, just so you guys know.
I've got one, but it's like buried in my collection. He's just like, I got it right here. Look at it.
And another flex. Okay.
Let me just flex the old Bakugan.
For you audio listeners, he's showing us his rare, inexpensive Bakugan right now.
Oh, yeah.
The single-headed Hydronoid. Oh, my lord. Got mine
Wasn't that
back
only
away,
released
but
in
he's just
Japan,
like,
or is that...
It was released only in a Walmart set, like exclusively to Walmart back in the day, and it was around for like the first part of like the season. Then after that, it was just gone.
If we're flexing right now, I already showed Michael and Kim this, but if we're flexing right now, I'm just gonna show this bad boy off right now. This,
oh man,
for you guys that don't know,
I'm just gonna
that,
put my away.
And you guys can't see it right now because I'm showing my camera. That is a gold Fear Ripper. I'll show you guys now. This Fear Ripper is limited edition Series 1 Bakugan from 2007. Sealed in the package. There were only 300 made, and they were only released in Canada. This is one of them.
You know,
flexing.
This isn't as rare as the things that we've been showing, but it's one of my favorites and kind of hard to get. But B2 Darkest Reaper.
Yeah.
Where's the Reaper reboot? Where is he at, Spin Master?
That would be a great Bakugan to reboot.
I mean, I don't have any Bakugan physically on me, but I got some rare ones like Volt Alazoid and Sprazer, which they're not easy to get and weren't even really made in the US, so you know.
Nice.
All right, so we got 10 minutes left in the meeting. Is there anything else you guys want to close out on, or you want to add before we finish up?
Shoot, I feel like there's like some major things that we talked about last time, like specifically don't get me wrong, this has been a great episode, but I feel like we've gotten really distracted and not really talked so much on like Luke's interpretations and like opinions on the game coming into it fresh.
Yeah, well, let's do that now. We got 10 minutes. Go ahead, Luke.
Yeah. So how do you on this one?
Man, I don't. Well, one thing I was thinking that I want to say, or I want to ask, because I asked this last week. Do we know where those like 1 in 500s are going to be released? Because I think I asked that last week, and we were all just like, "Huh, that's a good question."
We have no idea.
Because, like the Fear Ripper was released in Canada. Like if there's 500 like in America, that's 10 per state. So like that's okay. If there's 500 like in the world, that's a lot rarer.
Mm-hmm.
So like that I don't know.
Like that Fear Ripper, that was only in Canada. So there were only 300.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
So.
I don't know. It's weird. It's gonna be weird. But I don't know. I think the most important thing is like consistency of like power. So like don't power creep the game. Like find other ways to make it sellable, to sell it. I think that's definitely like keep your player base happy. Like that's something that definitely other card games don't do. Konami doesn't care. At least in America, they don't care very much about their player base. They do not make them happy. So do that because players
can make them money.
Yeah.
But I mean, coming in, Bakugan was super easy. I mean, I've played like every other card game that exists, but I think that it's one of the easier ones to learn and master. Because like Yu-Gi-Oh is easy to learn, but it's definitely not easy to master. Magic's easy to learn. It's definitely not easy to master. Yu-Gi-Oh is harder to learn than a bunch of card games. So if you play Yu-Gi-Oh, you can definitely play Bakugan. But Bakugan, I mean, it seems easy to get into at a decently competitive level. I mean, and cheap. I don't know if we've really talked about that, or if you guys have really talked about that at all.
We haven't.
That's a good point.
But like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic to get in is super expensive, like several $100s.
Yeah, to have a competitive deck and be able to at least do decent.
And that's a reason. One of the reasons why I really like playing Weiss Schwarz is because like when I bought into the game, which it's been a while, like it's been 5, 6, 7 years. I bought my deck for $100 on TCG Player, just full tier 1 deck. And like that's cheap. I mean, for a TCG, for someone who's looking to get into a TCG, that's cheap. So, and I think Bakugan is around, like you can buy a deck that's playable for around there, right? Like for around 100. Yeah, like I think that's like right now, at least, if you're looking for a game, I think that it's really easy to get into because it's easy to learn, it's easy to play at some sort of a competitive level, and it's cheap. So, I mean, I think it's really good to get into, for sure.
The most expensive cards that I can think of off the top of my head right now are only in Pyrus and in Darkus, which is Pact of Darkness and Super Fuel. Those are the two most expensive cards I can think of, and that's only for foils. Foils are like 30 to 50 ish a piece.
I mean, you helped me build my deck. Like you gave me a lot of the cards in my deck, but I bought like some of the more expensive cards, and I don't have nearly that much money invested into my deck. Like not nearly $100. Like I think I've spent, I don't know, $45 or something like that. I have a whole deck, and I mean, given you helped me out with the deck a lot, but that's just like I said, I bought a few of the more expensive cards, and so just add the cheaper ones to it. I mean, you can get a deck for really cheap. So I think that's important. I don't think it's important necessarily. I think that it's good. I think it's good that players can get into the game right now for cheap, because if they get in for cheap and like it, then they're going to keep playing. Like even if the game gets more expensive, gets more popular.
And that's another thing. Like a lot of the newer starter decks, like for Armored Elite and for the ones that came out for Fusion Force, they're actually not bad. Like they have some really solid cards in them. Like you could easily pick that up and then build on it. Pick up some Bakugan that are better for the deck, and then just build from it. Like shout out to CG Inferno. He's actually got, using one of the old decks, like the original like Battle Brawlers decks. He's got a budget deck on there that you can like on his channel that you can go watch, and it's like super cheap. It's like under $30, and you have a competitively, well, as of now, you have a competitively viable deck, just by grabbing the deck and then picking up a couple different or extra things.
Yeah,
I think
that's super cool.
It is super cool. And Weiss Schwarz does that. Like you can I literally just bought 4 structure decks like 2 days ago. There's a shop in Florida. I'm in Florida right now, and there was a shop I went into and bought. You need 2 structure decks to make like a full deck, because every deck has at least 2 copies of a card in it. So you get a play set by buying 2. So you can literally buy two structure decks and like win a tournament. And I mean, obviously, like constructed decks are better. But like it's competitively viable, and I think that's cool. Like you were saying with Bakugan, like especially if they make them more competitively viable.
And
that's good.
2 of the best decks that are out and playable right now, you can get a bulk amount of their cards from these starter decks, like the first rapid fire one that has Darkest Dragonoid Ultra as the main. It's got the majority of the rapid fire core in it. You just need to pick up 3rd copies of some of the cards, which are commons and rares, cheap, and then Sync that's coming out of Fusion Force is in a structure. It's in one of the structure decks. It's like drop $60 and you have the majority of sync and can play sync, and drop $30 and you have at least 2 copies of all the important cards. And you can at least do filler or pick up single. The market becomes more viable with Fusion Force cards and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and even like just the system of evos, because the evos really keep things balanced and such. You might have some Bakugan that might not have the most B power, but then you have their evos where it's like, oh crap, I was sleeping on that. Biggest example, like Pyrus Hollow Core Ultra. Yeah. Like, yeah, that's a strong boy, for some Fury decks and such. And even like another one that I think is slept on, like an evo, Goreen, Arliss Goreen. It's harder to get its evos and such because obviously only with Age of Arliss, but literally you get some rerolls in there, and you can get like Hyper, and then you get Maximus, literally with those rerolls, and it's strong.
So real quick, because I know we're getting really short on time.
60 seconds left.
Oh man, Luke, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate Bakugan the TCG?
Right now?
Yes.
Probably between 7 and 8.
No. That's a solid number.
Yeah, solid number.
Well,
I think it's
all right.
good for where it is.
Thank you all so much for watching and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna have to cut it short here. Well, not really cut it short, but
My dog passed out.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys are checking us out on Spotify, thank you guys for listening. More episodes coming out soon, so we'll see you guys next time.
Keep calm and brawl on.
Ooh.